Today I'm responding to Tay, who wrote asking, how can I tell if a guy I'm with is the right one for me? Well, first, Tay, I want you to know I'm not one of those people who believes that there's one soulmate out there for each and every one of us. I mean, how miserable would that be if you missed him? You couldn't find him. You're running around your whole life trying to find this guy and never do. So no, I don't go that way. I do think that there's several factors in good relationships, and there's several people out there that we could have them with, and that's what I'm going to talk about here. So, first factor has to do with how you guys treat each other. Hopefully there's enough understanding, caring, and respect between you where you're each feeling supported in the relationship. Hopefully there's no abuse, like you're not screaming, yelling, cussing each other out, hitting. And even if one loses it and screams and yells, the other doesn't come back with violence, because it's just never okay and never going to make either one of you feel safe together. Hopefully there's a power balance in that in decisions you're capable of compromise, and there's some give and take, and it's not all one person's way with the other just always having to go along. Hopefully your relationship is also non-isolating. And no matter what the movies say, there is not somebody out there who can complete you. After infancy, we start developing these complex and unique selves, and we have many ways to express ourselves, and one person can't be there for all of them. So even if you have your true love, you still have your family, you still have your friends, you still have your workmates, you still have your teammates, whoever, you know, that you get to share different aspects of yourself with in healthy ways. Next issue I want to talk about is to do with some basic compatibility. If you have enough interests in common, then you can have fun together. And if you have big interests in common, that's pretty exciting, but it's not necessary. Another compatibility issue has to do with energy flow. Like if one of you just wants to like hang out, watch movies, you know, veg out, and the other is like, no, what are we going to do this weekend? Let's go snowboarding, let's go to the coast, let's go to the movies. You guys are going to feel tense and irritated with each other quite a bit, and it might not work. Other compatibility issue has to do with sexuality. So if one of you is in the phase of, I just want to hold hands and maybe we'll make out after a few months, and the other is like, I've already had several sexual partners and sex is how I express my intimacy, you're going to have a lot of tension, and that's going to be really problematic to overcome. Another compatibility issue has to do with future directions. So let's say you're both 17 and your dream upon graduation is to join Navy SEALs and travel the world, and his is to get set up in a farm right next to mom and pop's and have 8 kids. Well, that could easily be a deal breaker. Last compatibility issue I'm going to talk about here is substance use or abuse, which is a big thing you see starting around high school, middle school even. So if one of you is a mega stoner partier and the other is not into stuff like that at all, that could easily be another deal breaker or just an endless source of frustration. Next thing I want to talk about is desire. Oh, we love desire. It feels so good. That's why we're all about having these relationships initially. So it could be that you just think this guy's personality is super cute. Or maybe you love his intellect. Maybe he loves what an athlete you are. Or maybe you both just think each other is hot. Or maybe there's this intangible magnetic pull that you feel and you can't define it for the life of you. Whatever it is, it gives you that spice in your relationship that has you always wanting more, and that's really fun. That said though, next factor has to do with making the shift in love. Like the initial phase of love is this honeymoon, that's all what I was talking about. But then as time goes on, it tends to turn into this different kind of love. That's the kind of love that's deep, long-lasting, that can see you through a long haul in a relationship. Although it doesn't feel as exciting as this initial stuff. And some people just can't make that transition. A lot of people can't. So they just go through serial relationships. But this deep stuff, that's what you need to get through what John Gottman talks about as normal marriage. John Gottman is this really smart research psychologist guy, And he said marriage is basically adopting a set of problems you can learn to live with. So you need a different kind of love to deal with that very unromantic statement, but very true one. That said though, those relationships are super rewarding. Last point I want to make is whenever you're in a relationship with someone else, what we tend to do is we're like looking at them. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing for me? Why that? Why the other? Instead, look at yourself. Check out how you're doing. How's your self-esteem with this person? Is it high or solid, or is it in the toilet? That's not a good sign if they're not making you feel good about yourself, or there's not stuff going on in the relationship that has you feeling good about yourself. And then the last point I want to make is that if you don't know what to do still after my marvelous helpful video, what I would suggest is follow the advice of a great friend of mine who once didn't know what to do in a relationship of her own. She said, you know, what I decided I was going to do is work on myself and work on becoming the best person I can be. Because that way, if the relationship lasts, I'll be a stronger partner. And if it doesn't last, I'll be much stronger as a single person and more able to cope, and I'll have a lot more to bring to the next relationship I get into. So, that's my advice to you, Tay-Tay, and I wish you all the best. I hope I've been of help.